Hey everybody, Dr. Nelson here. This is a video about how to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators. So for the first two pages, you're going to take some notes with me. We're going to do some problems together. And then you have a chance to try some problems on your own. And then at the end, you can see how you did. Alright, so let's take a look at this first problem. We have 1/4 plus 2/3. And notice our denominators are different. It's a 4 and also a 3. So because we have unlike denominators, we need to do a few things to these fractions before we can add them. Alright, and what I've done is I've created like a 5-step plan to do that. Alright, so number 1, it says determine the least common multiple of the denominators. And so what you do is use the list method to determine the LCM of 4 and 3. So the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, and 12. And then the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and 12. So if you notice, our least common multiple is 12. Now here's the big thing. The LCM is also the least common denominator. So we're going to now have our fractions with denominators of 12. So that's step 1. Now step 2 says name each fraction using the LCM as the denominator. Alright, so to go from 4 to 12, I would multiply that times 3, right? So I need to do the same thing to the 1. So 1 times 3 is 3, so that's 3/12. And then to go from 3 to 12, I'm going to multiply that times 4. So I need to multiply 2 by the same factor, which is going to be a 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. Alright, so now we have 3/12 and 8/12. Alright, now that we have the same denominator, and that the fractions are equivalent, now we can add the numerators. So I'm going to add the 3 and the 8, and that's going to give us an 11. And now, step 4, I'm going to place this numerator over the denominator. Alright, so our denominator is 12, so it's going to be 11/12. And then step 5, if possible, you reduce. Now 11/12 is reduced, so our answer, there it is. Alright, now one thing you cannot do is add these denominators. Alright, so the whole idea about adding and subtracting fractions is you need to rename the fractions so they have the common denominator. And this 5-step process will walk you through what you need to do that. Alright, let's try one more. So if you turn the page, let's try a problem involving subtraction. And this time I'm going to go a little bit faster. So here we go. Number 1, determine the least common multiple of the denominators. So our denominators are 10 and 4. And I know that 10 times 2 is 20, and 5 times 4 is 20. So I know my LCM is going to be 20. So I'm going to rewrite these now with 20 as the denominator. Alright, now I need to rename each fraction. So to go from 10 to 20, I'm going to multiply that times 2. So I'm going to multiply the 9 times 2, and that will give us 18. So 18/20 is the exact same amount as 9/10. So now we have a denominator of 20. Alright, now I'm going to multiply the 4 times a 5 to get our 20, right? So 3 times 5 gives us 15. Alright, step 3, I'm going to subtract the numerators. So 18 take away 15 gives us 3. Step number 4, I'm going to place that over the denominator, which now is 20. And 3/20 is reduced. So that's our answer. So 9/10 take away 3/4 is 3/20. Alright, so adding and subtracting fractions is pretty easy, but you do need to practice quite a bit. Once you do that, it'll become natural and you do very well. Alright, so when you pause the video and try the Your Turn Now problem, and when you're done, hit play, you can see how you did. Alright, good luck. Alright, welcome back. Let's say I do this practice problem. So we're adding 2/7 and 1/3. And again, our denominators are not the same, right? So when we follow the 5 steps, step number 1 says determine the least common multiple. So your least common multiple should have been 21 for these. So 21 is going to be our new denominator. And now we need to rename each fraction. So I'm going to rename 2/7. Well, 7 times 3 gives us 21. So I'm going to multiply the 2 times 3, and that's 6. And then I know for a fact that 1/3 of 21 is 7. But just to prove why, well, I'm going to multiply 3 times 7 and 1 times 7. and that will give us 7/21. All right, step number 3, I'm going to add the numerators. So 6 plus 7 is 13. So it's 13 over 21, and that's step 4, right? I place the numerator over the denominator. And finally, if we can reduce, we can, and in this case we can't. So that's our answer, 13/21. All right, how'd you do?